Jacob Khachatryan is a criminal lawyer who will not promise you the world just to sail you up the river. With his experience and skills, you get a defense attorney that is truly by your side, defending you at every stage of the prosecution, including a jury trial where he's had over a 92% success rate for his clients. Whether it's a DUI, domestic violence, or even something as serious as murder, Jacob is the guy you need by your side. That's Jacob Khachatryan, attorney at law. Call 747-755-5555 for Jacob Khachatryan, criminal defense.
Thank you.
This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello, welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Berryfield, and I'm here with my good buddy, Mike Regalado.
That's a
Hey, shout out to Mike Regalado.
Shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike.
What's up, yo?
Hey, man. So this is part 2 of this week's What's Bruin Show. Pre-Indiana week, we're taking on the old Hoosiers. Who knew it? But they play football too.
Indiana football history makes you cry.
Wait, football?
They do.
This isn't a basketball game?
This is not a basketball game. We're going to play a football game. The first one between
Is it
UCLA
March?
and Indiana.
What month is it?
No, Mike. And I would like to avoid the basketball shows.
I would like to
For as long
avoid
as
the basketball
I am
shows for as
so
long as
confused right
possible.
now. What is happening
I
here?
know it is crazy. We're in the Big Ten. It's the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show Network. Thank you for your support on Twitter or X or whatever. At What's Bruin Show. What's Bruin Show at gmail.com. What'sbruin.substack.com. You can also search us on YouTube. Get your What's Bruin Show merchandise on a My Locker site. Look down the show notes. You can also call us on the hotline. 805-399-4WBS.
Suck it, Raina Troy.
Sucker Raina Troy. And thank you. If you listened to the part A of this show, this is part B. We had a great interview with Matthew Weaver from 24/7 Sports. What's that? The name of that thing? It's, Peegs.com.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the name for that site is related to the guy that founded the site, and more power to him. But it was a great interview with him talking about Indiana and them hiring Signetti and just what's going on with that program right now. So if you are interested in that, go back and listen to the last show. This show, we're going to talk about our thoughts about the game where UCLA is going to be hosting Indiana at the Rose Bowl for the very, very, very first time. And I'm going to be there. Mike's going to be there. Hopefully all of you will be there. Wear all your
there.
Yeah, blue and gold stuff. And let's get a nice crowd out there. That would be great to see. And hopefully we have more fans there than Indiana.
I was just thinking that.
My goodness. Like, I don't think there's any issue with us doing that, but I hope it's like a lot more, not just, we don't have to like squint and like try to figure it out. That would be pretty depressing to me. Because by all accounts, Indiana sold out their allotment that UCLA gave them, which was only 1,500 seats.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of word on the street that they're selling lots more tickets through UCLA. And by the way, you know how you get a ticket to UCLA football nowadays in the year 2024?
How?
You just basically, if you say it 3 times, one will instantly appear in your hand for free.
Oh.
So, I mean, like, try that trick at home, and you might just be able to go to the game if you want.
Don't do it now, especially when you're driving.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to.
Might shoot out and catch you in the eye.
Appear right in front of your eyes or whatever. But UCLA, if you hadn't known, since the Chip Kelly era began, they lost quite a bit of their attendance, and it hasn't recovered yet. And hopefully, at some point it will. But this is the dawn of a new era, right? The Deshaun Foster era.
The Foss era.
The Foss era. And, I think I have a drop about that somewhere. But regardless, it's a new era, and we're hoping that means that we will have, more fans of the Rose Bowl, which would be great.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go, then why don't you go? A new era is beginning. I know where my drop went, but whatever. So it was a cool one, too. It's Varinus from Rome saying a new era is beginning. But whatever. Sorry, can't find it. Anywho, let's get to our talk about this game at the old Rose Bowl with some UCLA football talk.
Blue 32! Blue 32! California! California! Hood! Hood! Hey! Football! It's the game that will be! It's the game that will be, yo! It's the game that will be!
So UCLA will host Indiana for the first time as a home dog, Mike, as a home dog. Right now, or last time I looked, the Bruins were +3 at the Rose Bowl.
That's on them. That's on them.
Home opener.
That's on
after
them.
struggling against the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, and after Indiana put up 77 on an FCS team.
Which is trippy because when it opened, I believe, it was only 2.5, something like that.
I think so, yeah. And
So-
last I looked, it was 3. It might be different now, but
Yeah.
it was 3 last time I looked. 4:30, perfect time for the Rose Bowl, and on NBC. So I think I texted, why is it on NBC? Did we ever get an answer about that?
Yeah, because, now that UCLA is with the Big Ten network, the Big Ten is in cahoots with NBC, Peacock,
Right.
all of that. So, yeah, we're going to be seeing, more games, even if they do suck, we're going to be seeing more games.
It's so weird. For years, I was so used to just, if you think NBC, I'm like, oh, I'm watching Notre Dame.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
now, not
exactly.
so much. So that's cool.
Exactly.
So that'll be nice. I think it'd be nice to, it's funny. I don't know, Mike, when I'm going to be at this game,
Yeah.
probably at least 75% of the time when I rewatch the game or when I'm watching the game live, I have the sound off. I'm not listening to anything. I'm just watching the game. Because generally there's something else going on in my house or whatever, or I just don't like. And the broadcasters, I'll only turn it up if I'm like looking for like injury information or something.
Yeah.
But with that being said, when I do listen to the broadcasters, I do like the broadcasters to not be total douchebags. And at ESPN, you have like a 75% chance of getting a douchebag. Fox, I think, is a little bit less than that. And NBC, I'm trying to think of who their broadcast crews are going to be, but we'll see. Hopefully it's a good crew.
Yeah.
And I'll enjoy it.
They'll announce that on the UCLA website probably in the next day or two.
Nice. Well, whoever it is, it's something fresh and new because I can't remember the last time we've been on NBC. Maybe a bowl game. I can't imagine. No, we're
If
on
that.
CBS for bowl games. CBS is the only ones other than ESPN has bowl games. So, yeah, what they just have the what's the one in El Paso, that UCLA has gone to a bunch of times.
I thought that was CBS.
Yeah, that's CBS. That's the only bowl game that's not on ESPN.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So there you go. Anywho,
The
whatever.
El Paso Bowl. Sun Bowl.
Sun
Sun
Bowl.
Bowl.
Sun Bowl?
Yeah.
Sun Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. Anyways, UCLA hosts Indiana +3. ESPN, the win predictor, as of yesterday, it had him as a 58% loser in the game.
Yeah.
Let's see if that's been updated. Is it updated yet? 58%. There we go.
Samesies.
Losers, according to ESPN win predictor. Not a surprise based on how things have gone to start the season. The over-under on the game, last time I checked, was 46.5. So if you look at the implied score there, what does that make it? That makes it like a 24 to like 22 sort of game, I guess, somewhere in that range. Yeah, so that's what they're predicting. A few touchdowns from each team. On ESPN's Bill Connolly's S&P Plus, this is interesting, Mike. UCLA and Indiana now, after they weren't like this at the start of the season, are back-to-back in Bill Connolly's ESPN Plus, in the S&P Plus. 53 for UCLA with a score of 4.4. 54 for Indiana with a score of 4.4. Bill Connolly has UCLA's offense is slightly worse than Indiana's offense. And obviously, much of this is weighted
Which is
from the
interesting.
offseason. It's just because it's very much weighted from the offseason still.
Yes.
So all of UCLA's good stuff from last year for the last couple games because it wasn't a great offense last year. And all of Indiana's bad stuff from last year is weighted in there. But right now, UCLA is slightly worse. And then UCLA's defense is slightly better rated than Indiana's defense. So there you go.
That I could see.
We'll see how it goes.
I do see that UCLA has a strength with its defense.
FPI, notoriously not
Yeah.
in love with the Bruins.
Oh, I got another one for you.
Even
Go
less
ahead,
in
go ahead.
love with the Bruins now. They've dropped 8 more spots down to 60 this last week after week 2. Indiana rising like a freaking, like a skyscraper. They moved up 47 spots to 26 in FPI. I guess FPI really likes beating up on FCS teams. But, 77-3, it's hard to argue with 77-3. Mikey, go ahead.
And CBS, I don't have I could look up this information really quickly, but since week 1, where UCLA was number 52 in the CBS sports poll, they're now 85. And it's weird. This past weekend, where UCLA did not play, they fell significantly in all of these polls.
Yeah. Well, it's just because, and Mike, what do you think about this theory? I was kind of thinking about that, and I'm like, reacting in the moment, UCLA should not have looked like that against Hawaii, and it was a disappointing win for kind of everybody involved. But when you look at everything that's transpired over the last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
is UCLA's unimpressive win against Hawaii justification to make them like the last team in the Big Ten? I don't think so, although a lot of people are doing it. Like, I guess it's arguable, but
Well,
I don't
it's
think
funny
so.
from a lot of the Indiana Big Ten and more of the fan podcasts that I've heard, they have UCLA down at like 13, 14, 15, 16, but they don't have them last because a lot of their hatred is still, ripe. And so they have the Marylands, the Michigans.
Well, that's unreasonable. But my point is that
it's so funny because the hate, you could easily tell the hate was coming out in those chats.
No doubt. I just my point being is, in a win that dropped them in the Riz rankings of the conference, well below where I think that they should be, even given their performance. However, my theory on this is that everybody tuned in for this primetime game this was on CBS, wasn't it? Went on CBS that first week? It was on primetime network television. And they tuned in for the first half, watched the Bruins play the worst half of football that they've played in probably 20 years, and then they tuned out for the second half and just saw that they scraped by a victory. And so it goes back to our preseason talk about UCLA not having the Riz. Now they have even less, and it's not surprising.
Yeah.
And the only benefit about Indiana coming into this game kind of well-regarded and coming off a high is that it gives UCLA a chance to make some sort of impression, assuming that they're any good.
Yes.
Because it also gives them a chance to make a terrible negative impression. But, I mean, if UCLA is going to be any good this year, this is a chance to get a little bit of a boost in confidence before they go into this gauntlet of, the LSU, Oregon, Penn State. So that's there we go. As far as UCLA football and Hoosier football, there really is. We're going to have a talk a little bit later about basketball schools, but you really do see the stark difference between UCLA and its football tradition and Indiana and what tradition it can kind of scrape together with football.
Yeah.
All-time record, UCLA is 39th in the country. Indiana's 127th. Bowl game appearances, UCLA's 26th. Indiana's 89th. NFL first-round draft picks, UCLA's 16th. Indiana's 52nd. Weeks in the AP poll, UCLA's 16th. Iowa's 73rd. Things like that. NFL draft picks, period. UCLA's 15th. Iowa's 56th. So, look, UCLA has fallen off over the years, and it's frustrating for us. But still, they have some history, to look back on. And it's not, the last 20 years have been, the last 25 years have been rough.
Yeah.
But the 20 before that were about as good as the Bruins ever had.
Yeah.
And so people that are alive remember the Bruins being pretty darn good. People that are alive
back then
have seen blips of Indiana being okay.
Yeah.
Right. And, this is one of, I think, only 3 teams in the country that have never won 10 games. More on that later, but that's kind of what we're dealing with here. So this is 2 teams that get looked at and thrown into the same category just because of recent circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that UCLA fans should still grouse over. And, God, we may be trending in that direction, but we're not there yet. So, just kind of keep that in mind. So, I know. Let's cry about it. With that being said, let's get to trivia about Indiana.
Now it's time for Jake's Trivia, brought to you by Jake, bringing you all the coolest trivia of UCLA football's opponent for this coming week. And now, Jake.
Mike, I mentioned that UCLA was a home dog.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a home dog a few times over the last few years.
In the Chip Kelly era?
In the Chip Kelly era, yes.
What?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm just gonna have to go with. I'm just gonna have to trust you.
Right now, it still says -3, according to Score Mobile. Mm-hmm. Mike, what is UCLA's record as a home dog? First, just in recent history. And in recent history, I'm going to say since Chip Kelly wasn't absolutely dreadful. So let's say since 2020, since COVID. That's a good
last
demarcator.
3 years. Last 3 years.
Last 3 years.
Yeah.
What is UCLA's record as a home dog since 2020?
Record? So that would be 6 games. I would say.
Well, remember, as a home
18.
dog. As a home dog, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Only in teams in which they're not favored at home.
Yeah, I was just trying to do the math.
There were 6 games.
There were only 6 games. Oh, thank you for breaking that down. I would say 2 and 4.
4 and 2.
Oh.
As a matter of fact.
Okay.
So there you go. Most notably, you had the game against LSU in 21.
Yeah.
and you had the game against Washington and the
That was
Michael
a good
Penixes
game. That was a good game. Yeah.
in 22. Okay, so 4-2 as a home dog in the last, since 2020. What do you think UCLA's record as a home dog has been in the last 24-ish or so years? Actually, just 20 years-ish since like 2000 and let's say I think 2004 is where my records go back.
I have to do all this math, Jake. So
I'm
that's,
just- no, I'm
that's
gonna
about
give you-
10 years, 6 games each.
Mike?
60, I would say 35 and 25.
They haven't had that many games. They've had just under 50 games, like 46 games or something
Okay.
like that. So
I would say
so. Just give me a
30
percentage.
and 20.
What's it?
60%.
As a home dog.
I was a home dog.
As a home dog,
Uh-huh.
what is their record?
Yeah, I'll go 60.
60%. No, that is not. That would be much better than even the best teams would be. But let me find my little chart that I made for us, Mike, so we can talk about this. So Mike already talked about how they've been 4-2 since 2020, and don't you know that would be the best out of all of the old Pac-10 teams, Pac-12 teams, and all the current Big Ten teams. That would be the best record since 2020 as a home dog best percentage.
Okay.
You got that going for them. Now, in the last 20 years, they're not quite that good as 4-2, right? They've been a home dog, about 45 times or so. 40, it looks like 46 times since 2003, I think, or 2003. Yeah, 2003. 2003. I'm sorry, my words are
Technically,
skipping.
you're right.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. But of all the teams in the Big Ten, UCLA, over that time, they were 19-26 as a home dog, which gives them a winning rate of about 42% when they are underdogs at home, which is good enough for fourth out of all the current Big Ten teams over that same span. So to put it in perspective, that's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't mean that they haven't won as many as they've lost as a as a home underdog, but they're games that they're theoretically supposed to lose, and they've had a pretty good showing. The only teams in the Big Ten that have actually been better as home dogs, in a much smaller sample size, I should say, Oregon has only been a home dog 12 times in the last 20 years. They've won almost 60% of those games. So kind of not surprising. We all know what kind of home field advantage that stadium is. Wisconsin, the Badgers have been home dogs 10 times in that time. They're batting 50%, which once again, they're not home dogs very much on their own stadium.
No.
Ohio State has only been a home dog 6 times.
Jesus.
And they're 3-3 in those games. But other than that, it's UCLA, 19-26.
Bigger sample size.
Against, yeah, I know, against teams in which they are the underdog at home. So I'm just saying that I can think of games way back when UCLA was actually good, like repeatedly over and over again, and they would always kick the crap out of teams that were coming into the Rose Bowl, and obviously there were bigger crowds, and it was a bigger home field advantage. But even in recent history, in the Mora age, we had big crowds there, and so I don't know if how many times they're underdogs under Mora, but they did pretty well. In the Chip Kelly era, though, even when Chip Kelly did everything he could to chase the fans away, the Bruins actually, when they were underdogs, did pretty well as home underdogs in the Chip Kelly era. It was the heavy home favorites that they were absolutely dreadful, terrible, losing to teams like Arizona State last year, Arizona the year before. That's the thing about the Chip Kelly era, not to go on another freaking rant, was he just didn't win the games that he was supposed to win.
Exactly.
If he did, UCLA would have a couple more 10-win seasons under the belt.
Yeah.
And he'd probably still be the coach and yada, 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 and say he's going to win a national title with Oregon. Screw that guy. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. I digress. So that's some kind of interesting news about UCLA as a home dog. Mike, did you like that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to move on to the coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. That is none other than Curt Cignetti. He was hired this year, and at Pac-12 Media Day, he said some interesting things about UCLA and the Rose Bowl, even though he wasn't directing it straight toward us. But Mike, does this quote sound familiar? You were there.
We're just going to an old stadium to kick somebody's ass.
Right? That was the one that made headlines for him at Big Ten Media Day. And then later he said, it's not really about UCLA. It's not really about the Rose Bowl. We're trying to do that in every game, yada, yada, yada. But it was a catchy phrase.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Mike, is, or first of all, a statement. Do you agree with the statement? UCLA may be a road dog. I mean, a home dog.
Yeah.
But we're hopeful about how UCLA performs. However, one of the disadvantages UCLA has in this game is a coaching deficiency relative to Indiana, meaning that if there's a coaching advantage to be had in this game, it's definitely on the side of Indiana.
Oh yeah, because what was he, like 53-9 at James Madison the last 5-6 years? Like this guy has been a head coach for quite a long time, and he's been successful at all three spots. And starting 2-0 is pretty impressive for Cignetti.
Mike, I want to ask you a trivia question.
Yeah.
The trivia question for you is...
Oh, did I just blow it?
No, not at all.
Anyway,
not at
go
all.
ahead. Sorry.
Not at all. He's been a coach for a while, a head coach for a while. He's been a coach, a position coach, for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
How many times longer has Curt Cignetti been a college coach, position or head coach, than Deshaun Foster? How many times longer? If you take Deshaun Foster's coaching career and multiply it by what to get to Curt Cignetti's coaching career?
3 times?
Nope.
4?
A little more.
5.
Just short of 5.
Wow, nice.
Curt Cignetti has been at least a position coach in major college football since 1985, when Deshaun Foster was 5 years old.
Nice.
5 years old. He's been a head coach for 14 years, right? Which is quite a long time too, right? Yeah. Obviously, this is his biggest coaching stop, being in the Big Ten. But yeah, he has coached 30. He's going into his his 38th year. He's 2 years shy of 5 times as long.
Yeah.
Deshaun Foster has been a position coach for 7 years, and this is his first year as head coach.
Yeah.
So that's the experience, gap.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean there's a coaching gap there, but I think we'd all be a little naive if we didn't say that Deshaun Foster was still at least a little bit learning on the job.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I thought that we would find that. Mike, what did you think about the Cignetti's kind of his aura, I should say? We talked to Weaver a little bit about him, and he said he's just super professional and by the books and all that stuff, and got a little bit of a swagger to him. But what was your impression? Did you actually look at his availability at Big Ten?
No, I was hyper focused on the blue and gold, but yeah, I caught wind of that, and it's he seems a little prickly, but he also seems old school. I would say more old school than prickly, but he's just saying he needs to say something to him. And I'm not saying he's saying stuff to get attention, but he's saying stuff so that people can look at him and go, wait, what did he just say? Like, and I think he's a guy that can back it up. Obviously, he just gave Indiana a record-breaking game. He's not messing around. He's definitely not messing around. And the fact that he beat the spread. The spread was 45 points for Indiana to beat Western Illinois. He beat that in the early third quarter. So yeah, he's definitely not messing around. But at the same time, I think he's smart enough to know that you don't just say stuff to say stuff. You're not gonna Lane Kiffin this or even more recently. Speaking of LSU, you're not gonna say you're gonna beat those sissy boys in those blue shirts like Ed Ogeron did, and then proceed to get your butt kicked by UCLA in the Rose Bowl. I think Cignetti's smarter than that, and he was just saying, like I'm saying, he just said it because he wanted to prove a point. So everyone's talking about that phrase. We're going into an old stadium and kick some butt, and he said. The follow-up was, I'm not specifically talking about UCLA. Yeah. That's just our mentality. Yeah. And that is definitely an old school football head coach mentality. You want to go in there and just take down some you want to put up a fight. And there are definitely a lot of old stadiums in the Big Ten. So I think it was more directed at the Big Ten in general and not just UCLA. But I kind of like a swagger.
I will tell you this, Mike. There is a non-zero chance that we're going to be at the Rose Bowl and UCLA is losing or has lost a game to Indiana, and I'm going to stand there in the stands lamenting the fact that this guy is not our coach. There are possible timelines in which UCLA was decisive and got rid of Chip Kelly in November, like they got rid of Mora in November.
Yeah.
And went out and hired one of the best available coaches, which by no means was a home run, but now, like, just in a couple of weeks at Indiana, I think we could say he's a good hire, regardless of how things are going. He's got them turned around rather quickly. I don't know if the same treatment would have worked the same at UCLA. It's kind of funny because he really is Indiana's version of Chip Kelly, but it's just working better in that, number one, I talked about this with Weaver in the last show, but Indiana blew out their former coach on like November 19th or something. They hired Signetti on like November 23rd, right? Like whatever, those dates might be slightly off, but that's about what the timeline was. They fired their guy on a Sunday. They hired him on a Thursday. Does that remind you of when we fired Jim Mora on his birthday, and within a few days was Chip Kelly, and we were like chip chippity true, right? A new era has begun and all this other garbage, right?
Yeah.
They did what we did, only it's working out better for them. When he shows up, he brings in a bunch of his own players from all over the place.
Yeah.
And it seems to be paying
from James Madison.
Dividends. From James Madison, he brought some guys from other Power Fours. He brought some other guys from other, Group of Five schools. And as Weaver was telling us, he's kind of chosen guys that have actual production and performed at the college level, which is kind of like the Chip Kelly plan in year 3 or 4, but not the Chip Kelly plan in year 0 when they went 3 and 9 and sucked. It was terrible. Chip Kelly just kind of got rid of all the players and didn't bring in any players and just kind of like reset us to nothing.
Yeah.
From what some would say was not a very good reason.
Yeah.
So, he's, so in a way there are some parallels there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping.
Except it's going better slightly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's gone much better, right? Instead, UCLA
in 2 games, it's gone better.
UCLA drags their feet on pulling the trigger in this situation and then ends up losing the opportunity to hire Signetti, lose the opportunity to hire Jonathan Smith, lose the opportunity to hire Tony White. Yeah. Although they probably had that opportunity rather late, they still, it goes by the wayside.
Yeah.
And now they end up with Sean Foster. And by the way, could it work? Yeah. But did you hire a coach under less than ideal circumstances? Yeah. So, there you go. So, oh, by the way, Mike, here's we said Ed Orgeron, and I like always playing the drop.
Big ass on you, little sissy blue shirt.
Let's hope that we have a similar outcome to what happened with that game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That would be rather nice.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That remains to be seen. I'm sure we'll be playing that next week as we're going to LSU. So, here we go, Signetti. I'm hoping that we're not crying into our overpriced diet sodas at the Rose Bowl on Saturday. Now, Mike, we're still in trivia. You realize that?
This is great trivia.
Thanks, Mike.
You don't get this anywhere else.
Nowhere else. Nowhere else. Mike.
Oh, by the way, TikTok, Will, you have 2 weeks left.
Oh, that's right, mother effer. Because we're going to go get ourselves a new Bugatti. I woke up in a Bugatti.
2 weeks, Will. Yeah, okay, so quiz time. Pop quiz, hot shot.
Question 4. Question 3.
Uh-huh.
Okay. This one's going to throw you for a loop, bro. This is not the question, but Mike, name someone you're interested in. I don't know why you're answering text on the show, Mike. We're live.
I'm trying to turn this
God,
off.
Mike. It's a little nozzle on the side, man. Just turn off sound. It's okay. I'm just kidding. It doesn't bother me, actually. I actually like it. It adds flavor to the show.
Exactly.
All right. Easter eggs.
This show needs more flavor. Yeah,
that's right. Anywho,
we're coming at you with the Mexican, with the Italian, with the Irish.
Mike, what is the name of the quarterback for your Indiana Hoosiers?
Rourke. I'm blanking on his first name, but it's Rourke.
It is Rourke. And Mike, where did he play at previously?
Oh God, Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
What's the mascot of the Ohio?
Wildcats?
Bobcats.
Bobcats.
My brother-in-law went there, so I'm very steeped in the history of Ohio Bobcats. Anyways, that's not the question, Mike.
Well, I mean, half of all mascots are Wildcats, so
But this is a Bobcat, not a Wildcat.
True. That's very true.
Mike, this is the question. Okay, you ready for it?
Yes.
This is a good question. This is the best trivia question I've had in months.
James Earl Jones. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
What is the number one item listed on the wedding party registry for Caroline and Curtis, who tied the knot this last February? Curtis Rourke is who I'm referring to.
Oh, okay. Repeat the question?
The number one listed item on the wedding registry for Curtis Rourke and his lovely bride, Caroline. I'm assuming is Caroline Rourke.
Cybertruck.
Not a Cybertruck. But good guess, Mike. That's a good guess.
What was it?
Yeah, you don't have to overthink it. This one is probably pretty, like if you take a couple guesses, you probably get it, but it's Cash for the Honeymoon Fund. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I guess if you're into
The
that.
point being, but you don't want to go on a honeymoon trip, Mike? Jeez, man. Oh, man. Or just the idea of getting married.
I'm just kind of saying I'm done.
Sorry. Anyways, look, don't piss on this happy couple. They're like 20 years old, bro. Or 25.
They have their whole life ahead of them.
That's right.
And they have their
beautiful,
whole afterlife.
A beautiful, beautiful couple. Anywho, the point I'm trying to make here is, dude, the quarterback for freaking Indiana football is a freaking married guy. Isn't that nuts? Like, what kind of maturity is this guy showing?
Well, dude, Cam Rising is like 25.
I know, but
and
look
that's
at the happy couple. Look at the happy couple right there.
Oh, okay, cute.
Yeah, Caroline and Curtis. But, dude, this guy, we're facing a real man. Ethan Garbers is a man too, but this guy's got some experience under his belt.
He'd be a better man if it was Chase Garbers.
Yeah, I know. We'll
I'm
get to that.
saying, I don't know.
We'll get to
We're
that
just-
in a minute.
Sorry.
Anyways, what's his nickname?
That's a joke amongst podcasters. So.
It'll come back in a minute.
It'll be
Curtis Rourke, what is his nickname? He's Canadian.
The Sledgehammer?
The Maple Missile.
That's awesome.
Isn't that lit?
That's badass.
Yeah, the Maple Missile. I love that.
Oh, man, dude, we got to have a collection of names for these opponent quarterbacks. We had the Shager Bomb. Now we have the Maple Missile.
So, I mean, that's two
This
good
is
nicknames in a row.
awesome. That's fantastic.
Come on, bro.
Alice, what are you bringing? That is badass.
I'm telling you, man. So, anyways, this guy is a Canadian football player, right? Canadian born.
Go Canada.
Yeah. And he was the 2022 MAC Player of the Year. He got hurt, had a rougher year last year, but now he's coming back, and this guy, is kind of a baller to a degree. So we got to watch out for this guy. And hopefully, talking to Mr. Weaver, hopefully UCLA's defense can get after this dude, and for the second game of the row, really knock around the quarterback and put their offense at a disadvantage, because it's going to take that, because this is going to be a much better offense than what they faced in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Oh, also just a little tidbit about old Rourke. His older brother Nathan, which is kind of a cool story, preceded him as Ohio's quarterback and is now a professional quarterback in the CFL.
Oh, nice.
So Ohio had double Rourke. They went from one Rourke to the next Rourke, and then that second Rourke transferred out. Bummer story. Sad ending, but a fun story.
And I think recently it was Dolores O'Rourke's birthday of the Cranberries. Rest in peace.
Was it O'Rourke or Reardon?
Oh, you're right.
Is it O'Riordan?
Right. It's Reardon.
Oh. Damn it. Rest in peace.
Screwed that one up. Still,
It's
rest
okay,
in
Mike.
peace.
Hey. Any reason to talk about the
to get
the
music.
Cranberries is all right, Mike.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's okay,
My
dude.
daughter is into the Cranberries now. I played it the other day, and she's like, turn it up. I'm like, really? All right, cool. It's my girl.
Are you more of like the, it's like brooding rock Cranberry songs,
I-
or the more lilting Irishy tone Cranberry songs?
I would say 70% of the time, I am always up for a loud banger, which I can just bob my head. So
Me too.
Zombie.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Zombie. Or
However,
yeah. But
I had a Cranberries poster in my college dorm room. Mike.
nice.
I was a big Cranberry
Oh,
fan.
hells yeah.
Yeah.
But
I want to see him. I want to say I saw him once.
Never got a chance.
I think I saw him at Lollapalooza. But then again, I say that about everybody. But I really did see most people. But
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on whether I saw the Cranberries. Anywho, let's get.
Spoiler alert. I get to see Pulp in about a week.
Let's go, Mike.
Getting
Where's
excited,
that at?
man. Palladium. And then I heard Refuse is playing. There's another show coming up.
Is it Refuse or Refuse?
Sister Refused.
Oh.
Yeah. Sisters of Mercy and the Psychedelic Furs, I believe, are playing at the YouTube.
That's a good venue.
Yes, haven't been there, so I kind of
that'd be fun.
might want to do that. Anyway, music sidebar. Sorry, everybody.
Last question. The trivia segment is long, Mike. I mean,
This is freaking
but I think this is
awesome.
terrific trivia. Like, I'm bringing to you the flavor that you wouldn't otherwise get
Exactly.
about UCLA's first game against Indiana.
Yeah, we're not just giving you stats and breaking down offense and defense. We're going behind the scenes.
I'm just telling you, you're going to go into this game at the Rose Bowl, which I hope you attend. Because when I think 4:30 at the Rose Bowl, I'm like, the weather's, nice, lightened up a little bit. I'm pretty sure, that makes me more like I want to go to the game and see it. I know Bill is less likely to go to the game, no matter what you say. Like, you say that the weather's going to be nice, I'm not going to go. You say the weather's going to be terrible, oh, good, I'm
you
not
could
going to
say
go.
Michael Jordan's going
You
to be
say
at
the
the
Bruins
game,
gonna
and
win by-
Bill will be
Yeah.
like, let you
You
know.
could say that Michael Jackson is at the game on a stage at the 50-yard line doing a Thriller dance by Michael Jackson.
And he'd be like, oh, really?
Eating a pudding pop from Bill Cosby. And Bill, look, there is like the holy trinity of Bill, right?
I got to see if the boys have a game.
But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I'm sorry.
With respect.
We digress.
Because the boys are...
They're doing well.
I want to go see one of their games, dude.
Yeah, their season starts in a few months. We
Freaking
won't.
taller than me. I hate it.
They're much taller than you. They're taller than me.
But they still call me Uncle Mike. That's cute.
They're taller than
I
me.
love it.
Yeah. Anyways,
I
I'm
know,
sorry.
right?
Can we get to the last trivia question?
Do it.
Okay. Which of the quote-unquote basketball schools has the most successful tradition in football, Mike? Now, first, we should probably define the basketball schools,
Yes.
right? Okay, so let's define that. When you think about, like, what are the kind of
of the Big 12? Big
no,
10?
No. Well, actually, I wish I would have done this for the Big 10 too, but I'm just talking about let's go with blue bloods in college basketball, right? So when you think about the blue bloods, let's go with, I'm going to a Wikipedia page and it's saying Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, UCLA, Indiana have been historically called blue bloods in the sport.
Yeah.
You could also maybe make a case for Michigan State, UConn. We don't have to worry about UConn's football tradition, so we'll just throw them out of the argument right now. So far, all these schools have had like at least a football team for 100 years that has had some success at some point.
Jim
right?
Mora has not been holding his.
God bless Jim Mora. We love
end
him.
up.
But this is like the peak of
his
UConn
end of the
football
deal.
right now, and it's not very good.
Exactly.
So anyway, so going back to that, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, UCLA, Indiana. We'll throw Michigan State in there, and we'll throw out UConn. Of those teams,
What about Michigan?
Would you consider Michigan a blue blood?
No. I think
Michigan,
they're
like-
up there. I think they're up there. But yeah, you're right. Not a blue blood.
But I think that's worthy. Let's throw Michigan in there too. Like I actually have the stats for them as well. Michigan certainly their tradition is more rooted in football, of course. But they're kind of like, I'd make the argument that UCLA and Michigan are kind of like the inverse of each other. Both very competent schools in both sports.
Very
but
good academic schools too.
Weighted heavily towards basketball for UCLA.
Yeah.
Weighted heavier for football for
Okay.
Michigan, right?
Yeah, no,
so with
okay.
that being said,
Sorry.
that's okay, Mike.
Sorry, Michigan, you're out.
UCLA, well, no, they're going to be in the stats zone. UCLA, Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Indiana, Michigan State. When we talk about
Who's had the most successful football team out of all those basketball schools?
and by success, we'll
Win
gauge this
percentage?
by 10-win seasons.
Yeah.
At least 10-win seasons.
Yeah.
And then I also have percentage of seasons in their school history that they had at least 8 wins. I thought 8 was a decent number because it's like, I don't want to say bowl games because bowl games you can get in at 6 and 6.
That's mediocrity.
And it's still, like at least 8 wins. Like, and I think the story of UCLA football is they've been pretty good plenty of times, but never quite gotten over the hump.
Yeah.
So you can't call them a football powerhouse in that regard, but they're certainly not at the level of some of these other quote-unquote basketball schools, right? So with that being said, Mike, and I'll post this stuff on Twitter the next couple of days so you guys
Nice.
can reference it, but
I would say out of that, definitely UCLA.
definitely UCLA, and it's
Yeah.
like UCLA by a country mile.
Oh, hells yeah, because except for the last 25 years, which says something, the fact that UCLA is historically one of the best top 25 football programs in the nation, considering they've had a crappy last 25 years.
There's more news on that too, Mike.
It says a lot about what UCLA has been able to put on the field.
So let me lay this on you,
Do
okay?
it.
So we're just going to go with 10-win seasons amongst those teams.
Okay.
UCLA has had 9 of them in its 97-year history, okay? The only other basketball powerhouses that have had that many 10-win seasons are Michigan State with 9 and North Carolina with 8.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's
Now-
recent for North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah, and UCLA's been relatively dormant.
Yeah.
Michigan State has been better more recently. They've been to a playoff and all that stuff, right? UCLA hasn't been to a Rose Bowl in 25 years, for Christ's sake. But let's go to the but 10-win seasons. UCLA with 9, Michigan State with 9, North Carolina with 8. The other teams on the list we're talking about: Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, Indiana. You add all of theirs up together, and they don't equal North Carolina's.
Wow,
at 8,
nice.
Right? Duke's only had 1 10-win season in its history, 10-plus win. Kansas only had 3 10-plus win seasons in history. Indiana, as we noted earlier, has never had a 10-win season, right? So that just kind of shows you, as far as like and Kentucky's had 4. So the peak of those programs has been, relatively low compared to the other, compared to UCLA and Michigan and Washington and Michigan State. Or not Michigan, Michigan State. Now, as far as like years of their history, percentage-wise, where they've had at least 8 wins, this is where UCLA kind of really distinguishes itself. 36% of the time, UCLA has had at least 8+ wins, which is not as good as, let's say, Michigan, for example. What do you think Michigan's at? They've been around for 135 years. How many of Michigan's 135 years as a football blue blood have they had at least 8 wins? What percentage?
70?
50%.
Really?
See, I mean, so it's not as good as you think it would be.
Yeah.
But it's still quite a bit more than UCLA at 36%.
Yeah.
Okay? But compared to the other teams on the basketball school list, Michigan State's only 24%. Only 24 out of 100 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina's only at 29%. Only 35 of 121 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay? Duke, 19%. 20 of 103 seasons. And then it goes down from there. Kentucky, 11%. They've only had 12 seasons out of 109 where they've had at least 8 wins. And then let's not even talk about Kansas at 10%, 13 out of 124 years. And Indiana, the team we're about to face, in the basement of this stat, they've only had 8 win seasons in 126 years of competing. That's how bad it's been for Indiana. So every time we want to lament our lives and our plight as Bruin fans, which they have been classic underachievers for the entire time that we've been college graduates. Classic underachievers. They haven't broken through, but they have had some moments. But just keep that in your back pocket.
Yeah.
When someone calls us a basketball school, at the very least, I guess we're the best of the basketball schools, but I would say we're not even a basketball school because guess what? When you look at UCLA's legacy and you look at maybe the team that just went to the national title game last year and that won a national title in what, like 1990 or something? The Washington Huskies? UCLA football performance over their history is like identical to the Huskies. It's not as good as Michigan's, as I said, but the Huskies have been around for 108 years. They have 34 8+ win seasons at that time. 31%. A little bit behind UCLA's 36%. And so that's kind of like the argument we would always make is UCLA, do they have the legacy of USC in the Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-8, history? No. But they are just a rung under that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they've been kind of off the pace in the last, like I said, since they've never. This is the punchline of this whole thing, Mikey. As I was about to say, UCLA's been off the pace in the last 25 years, but they really haven't. If you do the numbers on UCLA just in the last 25 years, Mike, guess what percentage of the time they've had an 8-win season in the last 25 years?
I don't want to answer.
Well, answer.
12%.
It's going to surprise you, Mike. It's 36%. Exactly on pace with their historic pace. The problem is that UCLA hasn't won anything in 25 years.
Of significance, yeah.
In the 80s and 90s, at least they won the conference a bunch of times. The closest UCLA has come to winning anything in the last 25 years was Jim Mora's Pac-12 title game appearance in, 2012, 2013, whatever that was. So I think that's really the difference, and that's what's really gotten Bruin fans bent out of shape in our history as adults, basically, is that they've had some moments where they popped up. They've had 3 10-win seasons. They've had year when they had a chance to win the conference title. But other than that, it's been measured more by their failures. Mora bashing his head into Oregon and Stanford. Chip Kelly bashing his head into the fans of all the Bruin fans. Pissing on our expectations.
Alumni, administration,
Carl
fans.
Durrell, pulling one great season out of his, great-ish, good season out of his ass, and otherwise just being solidly mediocre. That's really been the difference, is that UCLA has still won a lot of games in the last 25 years, but they have just come up a little bit short of what we all wanted. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there you go, Mike. Mike, can you believe we've done trivia for 45 minutes?
That's crazy.
I hope it was interesting. I hope this is what we wanted. Was it what we wanted, Mike?
We're giving a backstory. Hells yeah.
All right, good. I hope guys like that. All right, anyways, let's get to our thoughts on Indiana football. Right after we have a What's Bruin Symposium.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality, women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
No, we're not having Fresca tonight, but thank you, Mike. This is What's Bruin Symposium on the What's Bruin Show Network. Symposium is a conversation over drinks, and that's what we're having. A couple of drinks right here. Mike will usually have a beer, and I'll usually have a whiskey. And we talk about it, and then we ask you for money. But, Mike, what are you drinking tonight?
To buy more beer and booze and all
That's
that stuff. Tonight, I found this lovely little piece at Trader Joe's, actually. Trader Joe's, they're really pimping out
They got some deals there.
the local breweries. This one is from Trademark Brewing. I didn't see where that one's from. I'll check that out. But I saw this shiny black and rainbow-esque can. Saw it was the name is
cool
the name is Codebreaker, and it's a West Coast IPA. And since Indiana is coming to the West Coast, I figured I would have a West Coast Indiana pale ale,
Close enough.
ish sort of. Sorry, but it's this can is the things they're doing with cans these days. I swear to God, that's a whole industry in and of itself.
like a-
Anyway.
Lithograph thing, kind of thing.
There you go. That's a perfect way to explain it. Jake, what do you have?
I came up big this week, big time deal in that I went to Costco kind of randomly during my vacation week, walked in at 10 a.m., and there were bottles of Blanton's and E.H. Taylor on the shelf. Very, very discounted. So I got a bottle of Blanton's for like $60, which is pretty kick-ass, and that's what I'm having right now, enjoying that as one will when they find a really good deal on a bottle of whiskey. So, yeah, cheers to you, Mike. Of course, Blanton's is the original single-barrel bourbon, and it is tremendously overpriced now. So when you find it at retail, never not buy it. But thank you very much for joining us on the symposium for just a couple bucks a month.
$2.
How much, Mike?
$2.
$2.
You can send the What's Bruin Show into the future. You can subscribe on whatsbruin.substack.com or at just whatsbruin.com or at patreon.com/whatsbruinshow. And we completely appreciate your support because, that's what's going to keep us running. This independent little pirate ship of a UCLA podcast afloat in the Big Ten waters. So cheers to you. Thank you very much. And go Bruins.
Blue 32, Blue 32, California, hood, hey! Football.
It's been like an hour since we played it, so I'll just play it again. Might as well. Game will be.
It's the game that will be. It's the game that will be, yo. It's the game that will be.
So, as we said, UCLA's going to this game as a home dog. Plus 3 points for them at the Rose Bowl, 4:30 on NBC. And our good friend Nancy from the Inland Empire Alumni Network, or something to that effect, sorry, Nancy, sent us an email asking about this week's opponent, Indiana. And she asks, question for next show, is Indiana that good or Western Illinois that bad? 77-3, question mark, game still in progress. And that is Dr. Nancy from the IE Bruin Alumni Network. She's the vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Very distinguished, venerable vice president of that organization. Thank you, Nancy. The answer to your question, Nancy, is probably yes to both counts. Indiana seems much better, but Western Illinois is really bad.
They're a high school
They
team.
have not won a game in like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And they were winless last year.
Yeah.
Obviously. So you heard our interview in the last show with Matthew Weaver, and you heard us kind of talking about Indiana's football tradition. So it's like, is Indiana that good? Well, relative to their history, it looks like this is one of their better teams already.
Yeah.
That is the most points they've ever scored in their school history. Okay? They've never had a 10-win team, so that's what they're out in the hunt for. I don't know if this will be the year for that.
It was only the fifth time
Let's
they've
not put
gone
the cart ahead of the horse,
And what did you say? 126 years of Indiana football?
Like that, yeah.
This is only the fifth time they have gone above the 70-point mark.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Impressive.
I don't know how many times UCLA's gone over the 70-point mark now that I think about it.
Well, I know for sure that was Indiana's only fifth time. But
what I'm saying is, even against an absolute tomato can, you got to be pretty good to rack up 77 points, 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
No punts.
At least know what you're doing.
Yeah, so they had an ideal game. Hopefully that builds a little bit of, cockiness and swagger as they go into the Rose Bowl, and then they run right into a brick wall of better athletes than they've faced so far. And that certainly is a possibility. But with that being said, UCLA had better be markedly improved over what they were against Hawaii a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And before the season, I would say, God, that second week bye week is terrible, dreadful, horrible. But in this case,
looking back, perfect timing.
Thank effing God. Because it gives the Bruins, Eric Bieniemy, Deshaun Foster, and company, defense look pretty good. But it gives that offense a chance to get things right. And hopefully, the Bruins were missing a couple linemen last week, a couple weeks ago. One missed the whole game. One was questionable. They have a chance to play this time. Let's hope they get out there.
Yeah.
The Bruin rushing attack was absolutely dreadful against Hawaii, as bad as I can remember it. Hopefully, they had a chance to, now they face some real competition.
Yeah.
Square some things away and do much better.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Garbers, after Mike, went out of our way to defend this cat, to talk him up, to say that, he's been invisible in the stats because he didn't play enough last year, although he probably should have in hindsight, all that stuff. You had these silly Big Ten types not even getting his stinking name right. They're all kinds of things. It was absolutely crazy.
Again, they're still not getting his name right, Jake?
Still not getting his name right. But I earlier, heading into the Hawaii game, we were playing you things like this.
Yeah. Whereas Chase Garber's good player, I don't know that he's the same type of player to do that kind of
different skill set.
You know what I mean?
My name is
Chase
Gabers at quarterback.
My name is
Ethan.
Just call me Eve.
How many
Gabers.
How many Gabers were in there?
Ethan Gabers. That was...
Someone else called him Gabers after we said...
In the offseason. That's not even the one I'm talking. This is the new one. This is just from this last week.
Oh, yeah. This is...
Gabers didn't exactly look like the top 10 QB in the Big Ten that you've been hyping him up to be.
Yeah, I thought he was going to play a lot better. It's Garbers, by the way. Chase Garbers.
Gabers.
Corona Del Mar.
Yeah, swing and a miss twice.
2 different podcasts. I don't know. I feel like we're kind of like being Hector the Protector here. But
I've never even heard the Gabers last name.
I know, me neither.
Jeez.
What's hard about
I mean,
Garbers?
it might be big in the Midwest. Just
Maybe.
saying.
I don't know. Who knows how they roll. But anyways, look.
Bro,
we spent all this time.
We play some ball on the West Coast.
We do. Hi, bro.
Hi, bro.
Anywho, Ethan Garbers,
that's
his name, calling me.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time talking him up in the offseason,
and
then he came out and played probably one of the worst halves of football that anybody could play, right? Crescendoing with that interception, safety-avoiding interception that could have led to a decisive touchdown for Hawaii.
Yeah.
Thank God it didn't.
Yeah.
They forced a field goal and ended up, outscoring them 16-3 in the second half. That was
the defense, despite the fact that they were inside the 10-yard line, the defense held them.
Absolutely. So, the defense played pretty good the whole game.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is UCLA looked so bad in that first half. In the second half, not as bad.
No.
Garbers threw for a couple hundred yards. The running game still looked terrible.
Yeah.
But they put up some points. They scored on 4 drives.
Yeah.
Out of 6 or whatever. So they showed some improvement. But they're going to have to be better against Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Indiana's taking a step up in competition, so are the Bruins.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to have to bring their A game, and hopefully they will.
Yeah.
Because they've been shown nothing but disrespect over the last 2 weeks. They've plummeted to the bottom of every power ranking in the Big Ten. They've dropped precipitously in all of the, whatever informal and formal rankings out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they're not ranked in
Well,
the top 25.
What? Honestly, that is on UCLA.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. So they have to come out and prove that what happened in Hawaii was a fluke.
Yeah.
You're in.
Well, hopefully not the win.
Not the win itself, but how
the win
the
occurred.
stumble to the win. But yeah, you're in your home, your home stadium in front of your home fans, in the comforts of your own, field and environment. You can't enter the first Big Ten conference game by losing to Indiana or anybody really. I mean, I would say if like Ohio State, who is legitimately a good team, comes in, was UCLA's first game, they come in and just trounce the Bruins. Well, it's like, well, yeah, you played Ohio State, but and again, if any Indiana fans get wind of this podcast, I'm not saying that Indiana doesn't deserve it, but UCLA has to show that what Indiana did. Not a fluke, but that UCLA is not Western Illinois. UCLA has to come in and give them a gut punch on defense, improve the offensive line for the running game, and just have an overall well-balanced offense. I need to see that happen before I can say, oh, they're going to dominate, because they didn't. They didn't against Hawaii. The biggest issue was the fact that UCLA had subpar run blocking, which led to a lot of tackles for loss / sacks / Ethan Garber's running for his life. That was. I would say that was the biggest weakness, but it was a huge weakness. The fact that you can't have a run game, that was not good. So UCLA needs to come. They need to show up.
They do. And we already talked about how there's a coaching edge in this game and is not in the favor of the Bruins.
No.
Right? There's an old, grizzled, very businesslike old man on the other sideline.
I wonder if he hates vegans.
I don't know, but if he did, right there with me.
He reminds me of Ron Swanson.
A little bit of that. You know what he reminded me of? There was a shot of him at their game where they won 77-3, and he's like standing on the sideline talking to the
people were talking about his pose.
And
like, what is this?
It reminded me of Kent from Real Genius when the popcorn gets shot with the laser beam, and Kent's like, oh, like it's total like nerd boy.
Wow.
And he's got the glasses on. And I almost wanted to do like a side-by-side of that, but I didn't take the picture on.
Jesus.
But I'm like, this guy is either like the biggest chap-ass, like angry coach ever, or he's just a freaking nerd. With those glasses, he like looked like Kent from Real
I think
Genius.
He's a total nerd who's going to turn some heads.
Or he looked kind of like the guy, if you remember Heroes, the NBC show that had.
Never saw it.
It was about superheroes during the superhero boom. But there was the
Go
guy
back to Real
in
Genius.
that show.
I can talk 80s movies.
I know. Anyways, he looked like the dad in that with the glasses that was like the secret agent guy that was like taking heroes to jail.
Gotcha.
Anyways, dude, that Kent from Real Genius.
Dude,
like that,
I so see that now.
He was like the popcorn guy. Anyways, this nerd on the sideline definitely has a coaching edge.
Also,
against
if you
the
haven't,
Bruins.
go back and check out Real Genius with Val Kilmer. Amazing.
It's a terrific movie. Anywho, stay on target. There's a coaching edge on the sideline, but this is Deshaun Foster's opportunity to kind of get a feather in his cap.
Yeah.
And to kind of, like Chip Kelly was made to look like a fool so many times in the last couple of years. Kenny Dillingham, did he make Chip Kelly look like a fool last year? Yeah, he sure did. What about Jed the Fish 2 years ago when Arizona came in and clobbered the Bruins?
Yeah, and last year too, because UCLA couldn't do anything in Tucson.
That one at least was a road game. I'm talking about the ones where the Bruins were
True.
supposed to
Yeah,
win the game
true.
at home. You know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
It's like this is a chance for the venerable old coach to get, to come up on the short end of the stick, and that's what Deshaun Foster needs to do. That's the mission at hand. So, Mike, with that in mind, how do you see this game going? What are you most worried about, and what are you like most? What do you want to see, and what are you worried about?
Like I'm saying, the major weakness right now is the offensive line / running game. If they can make even moderate improvements, I think it will really help their offense, because you can't be one-dimensional against a team like Indiana. I mean, I'm not saying that they are at the level of Texas or Alabama or Ohio State or Oregon, but hey, they're coming up. Cignetti is a legit coach who has proven himself at every head coaching stop he's had. And what do you think? He's just gonna rest on his laurels now that he has Big Ten money? I don't think so. This past weekend showed that. He's going to come out with some fire. He wants to win in the Rose Bowl on national TV, prime time.
It's definitely an opportunity for him.
Exactly. And there's going to be fire there. There should be equal, if not more, fire from the UCLA camp, considering the fact that they won, but it was an underwhelming win. And as I said, the offensive line, the rushing game there was much to be desired.
I hope they listen to this.
We're just going to an old stadium to kick somebody's ass.
I hope they're playing that on a loop in their practice. And, I know it's kind of overrated, like you talk about like the bulletin board material and all that stuff, but these Bruin players need to be reminded over and over again that they are expected to lose this game.
Yeah.
Their home opener of the Big Ten against the Indiana Hoosiers. I think the more the Bruins come out and just play physical, play hard, and really try to sock it to Indiana, the better shape they're going to be in, because Indiana has had it rather easy in their first 3 games.
Yeah.
And they need to understand that they are now not playing a team from the FCS. They're not playing a team from the Group of 5. They're playing a team with some bigger, stronger athletes, and that's the same thing that Matthew Weaver talked about on our last show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what needs to happen, and I think that if they do that, there's going to be definitely an adjustment period where the Bruins are kind of have the opportunity to kind of shock a little bit out of pop Indiana in the mouth a little bit, and hopefully they're the ones that get the first blow in this game, and then they can go on from there, and we'll see how both teams adjust. I was encouraged to say that UCLA adjusted well in the first game.
Yeah.
That's about the only good thing I can say about the first half, is that they adjusted well out of it in the second half, right? Whether it's the defensive tactics or the offense kind of figuring out what to do. But as far as that goes, you're right, Mike. UCLA needs to run the ball. They need to figure out a running game. Yeah. But even if they don't, they just need to be able to, on defense, really take the starch out of the Hoosiers' offensive attack.
That's what I wanted to say, yeah.
Everything for them went well against, not FIU, but their other game they had last week, the Illinois. It was an Illinois team, right? It was like Western or Eastern or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, everything went well for them against them.
One of those, who cares?
Because they were, it was like they were facing like a papier-mâché opponent.
Yeah.
They need to disrupt the timing on these throws. They need to hit these running backs and pop them and make them feel, feel something, as opposed to just letting them just waltz right through big open holes.
Yeah.
They can do that. They'll be in the game, and then, you hope that they can pull out a win. But they got to stop the Indiana train, right? They got to find some way to stop it. It's running down the tracks right now. They have to derail that son of a bitch.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that I was pretty impressed about in that first game, UCLA's only game. The fact that the defense, to me, looked very similar to last year. Obviously, you don't have your Latus and Murphys and Jones and Muasau, but for the most part, the overall scheme, the makeup of the defense looked pretty much the same. And I think to me, I think the secondary has taken a step up, and you lose some talent on the edges, but they're still going to be able to get at the Indiana quarterback Rourke and whatever running back they have in the backfield. I mean, just the fact that even after 2 weeks, UCLA is still in the. I'm trying to look for the stat. It's here somewhere. They're still in the top 10 of tackles for a loss with 11, which they got in that one game. They had 5 sacks. Again, another. I think it's a top 10 stat. Hawaii isn't. They were a pretty productive team, but UCLA is going to have their hands full this week. But you put that. You put that you put that hand in the face of this Indiana offense, and that's going to disrupt some stuff. I don't think Indiana is going to be able to completely play the game that they want, because UCLA has a very ferocious defense still, and I think that's a big. You have to. Really give Akeka Malloy the benefit of the doubt for continuing that type of aggression. So I'm really looking forward to this defense really, just getting after the Hoosier offense.
We got to hope. I am worried.
Yeah, exactly.
I think really the team that's going to win this game is the team that is able to just kind of, Indiana can let they can let kind of the expectations kind of fall away and just come out and play a good game at the Rose Bowl, they might have the result they want. They kind of need to let it all hang out.
Yeah.
Let it all hang out.
Well, if UCLA...
Wait,
can go into
Velvet
the Rose
Underground?
Bowl. No, but look it up right now while I'm
Okay.
talking. I can't remember, but if UCLA,
Sorry,
can
my
go to the Rose
ADD
Bowl,
brain.
I know, Mike, can go to the Rose Bowl and kind of let their performance against Hawaii, just fall by the wayside. Get out there and realize, hey, we're a home dog. No, we're going to let it all hang out too.
The Hombres?
The Hombres, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, we're talking about what I am terrified of, like what I want to see. I want to see the Bruins just come out there, let it all hang out.
Sorry about that. Let it all hang out.
And I want them to just punch Indiana right in the face and keep doing it until they're on top of them and the refs have to call the fight. That's what I want to see happen.
Yeah.
What I'm terrified that I'm going to see happen, and I realize I'm saying this in relation to a Big Ten matchup, but Indiana, their football lineage is not very good, and so they're kind of riding high in an unusual circumstance. But I'm worried that Kurt Signet is going to have these guys like rabid walking into the Rose Bowl, and we're going to see some like crazy like Boise State in the, what was that, the Fiesta Bowl against Georgia or whatever.
Yeah.
The Statue
Oklahoma.
of Liberty and stuff, some crazy shit going on. Like, and they're just like, totally letting it all hang out. That's really what I'm worried about, is that Indiana really is that well coached. Indiana really is primed to make a big splash, and UCLA is the first pool that they're going to dive into.
Yeah.
So it could go well, it could go not well. I really am curious about how this is going to go against the Bruins and the Hoosiers.
Yeah.
So, Mike, with that being said, what are your predictions?
I have after watching that game initially, I thought that I had UCLA winning, but after having Indiana winning, but I really like UCLA's defense, and I think that's going to be a major factor. And I do believe that UCLA is going to have their run game improve, not
taking another backslide
bigly, but I think it'll be enough to
bigly
to get the just squeak by with a win. I'm picking UCLA 24 over Indiana 21. How about you?
Go Bruins!
I love that, Mike. I also am picking the Bruins to win. However, it's more of the fact that, barring a loss by Penn State, LSU, or Oregon in the next month, I'm not going to pick them to win for another month, basically. So
right.
I can't in good conscience say I think they're going to lose in their home opener against the Indiana Hoosiers, but like my confidence level in this game is like a -16. But with that being said, Mike,
yeah, I get that.
I think they're going to beat Indiana out there at the Rose Bowl with us in attendance. Nancy's going to witness it as well. Dave, Leo's going to be doing 8 claps on the tunnel entrance, hoping that Mike's comes down to say hi.
I'm going to go say hi to all you
because he finds you
fools
so
out there.
dreamy. That's okay.
I find all you dreamy.
You are dreamy.
I am.
Anywho.
Or nightmare-y.
Indiana is losing to the Bruins this week, and they're going to lose by a score of, I got to have a Pagani field goal in my prediction, so let's go, or 2. I'm going to say 27-20.
Nice.
They're going to beat Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
27-20. Bill thinks they're going to lose what? 35-10?
35-10.
And then you also text Jamaal. Jamaal thinks
Jamaal predicts a UCLA win.
An
10
Illinois
to 6.
UCLA, 10-6. 10-6, or you say 10-9?
10-6.
Are you dyslexic? I thought I said 10-9. 10-6?
Is it 9?
Was it 9?
I thought it was 6.
10-9.
Okay.
There it is.
Right,
10-9.
Straighten that one out.
That's okay. Anyways, still equally depressing. Can you imagine going to the Rose Bowl this week and seeing a 10-9 game? God, that's depressing. God help me. If they win, then fine, but like, God, that's depressing. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I'll bet you Jamal's like envisioning like a special teams touchdown, not even a Bruin touchdown. Like they manage a field goal and like a scoop and score punt block or something. Oh God, how dreadful will that be? All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. We have one more quick segment we're going to do, which is What's Bruin with You. But we've worked hard to give you a lot of Indiana content today. And there it is for you.
As you deserve.
So support the show. We love you. And let's get to Bill's favorite part of the show.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
Mikey, you're on
So-
the clock. You got like 90 seconds. What's wrong with you?
Dude, this heat sucks.
It does.
I hate it.
I hate it. I love Los Angeles, and I know that August and September are the worst times weather-wise to live in Los Angeles.
I hear the hills of Los Angeles are burning.
Yeah, they are. It's unfortunate. Yeah, my sister is 20 miles away from the airport fire down in Orange County. She's safe in that aspect, but she texted me saying the smoke down there is bad.
My sister-in-law got evacuated out in Highland.
Yeah.
But really, I was making a reference to a really bad LA song.
Your Lovely Way. It's not a bad LA song.
You didn't pick up what I was putting down.
Yeah, it was Bad Religion. Go Bruins.
Go Bruins. Anyways.
Okay, that is a bad. It's not one of their best.
It's
not great.
Go Bruins.
Anyways.
So this weekend I was just trying to
45 seconds.
Keep the kids cool. My daughter Violet is cheerleading for Maranatha High School.
Yeah.
We went out to
What's her mascot?
freaking the Minutemen.
Minutemen.
Yeah. We went out to freaking Irwindale for an away game.
Go Minutemen.
100 degrees at 7:30 p.m.
Ridiculous.
at kickoff. They lost, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
But we were able to go back and oh God, what did we see? What a shame. The kids love looking at old movies that I saw. What did I pick? I can't remember, but there's some gems that they actually absolutely love. And then on Sunday,
Taxi Driver. Did you show them Taxi Driver?
No, I've never actually seen Taxi Driver myself.
Don't show it to your kids.
I've heard that.
Do not show it to your
yes,
kids.
Exactly.
Anyways, I'm sorry.
And Revenge of the Nerds. Why the fuck that I saw Revenge of the Nerds at an age younger than my younger
Porky's,
son?
Revenge of the Nerds, all that stuff. That's a whole other podcast, Mike. Keep it on target. Stay on target.
Anyway, long story short, Sunday we're like,
seconds.
we got to get out of here. We went to the beach. It was still hot there, but it was a lot better than what we were dealing with in East Los Angeles. Had some fun out there. My daughter Poppy made her volleyball team, so we're playing some volleyball out there. So yeah, that's just trying to stay cool. And now we got this weekend. It's game week, Jake.
Awesome,
Going to the Rose Bowl. See you all there.
Great job,
Jake. What's wrong with you?
Like you, I also had high school football that I was interested in, and this week the mighty 2-0 Granada Hills JV Highlanders had to have their venue changed because of the stupid heat. It was too hot in the valley, so we had to go play a road game at Palisades instead of a home game, and that change of venue cost your Highlanders a victory. They were 2-0. Now they're 2-1 because they got absolutely screwed on a call, on a kickoff return, which they scored the game-winning touchdown. Let me tell you how it goes. The guy takes the touchdown, takes the kick, takes it 80 yards for a touchdown. There's no flags on the field, and then 5 seconds later, there's a flag on the opposite 30-yard line.
Wait,
how does that happen?
What?
I don't know what's going on. All I know is it's home cooking. Palisades, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I don't know how the varsity game went. I don't really care. JV is what I'm talking about. But you should be ashamed of yourselves. You freaking beats people. And now the Highlanders are 2-1. But my guy Malcolm played 90% of the snaps on offense and on defense. He was absolutely gassed. If he were a Madden football player or an NCAA, 2K or whatever football player, and had ratings, he'd have like a 96 strength, a 91 speed, an 89 agility, and a 15 awareness. But he's learning as he goes. It's only his third game ever, and I'm real proud of him, so he's doing good. Anyways, Mike, hopefully they do better this week. Rivalry game against Kennedy. Mikey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this was great, Mike. Hopefully we'll be back next week with good news for Bruin fans as they get ready to go on their road trip to Baton Rouge. But that remains to be seen. Get out to the Rose Bowl. Wear your blue. We have a perfect time and on a nice network to watch our game. But hopefully you're not watching it on the network. You're watching it live at the Rose Bowl. It would be nice.
And get there early because it's the return of the Bruin Walk, people.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that, but just get to the game. Just get to the game, please. That's really what I care about. Anyways, until next time.
Yeah, screw that.
Thank you, and thank you, Mike. And thank you to Matthew Weaver for coming on the show earlier. And go Bruins, beat the Hoosiers.
Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's got to be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, brah, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.